Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and we have an awesome Numel battle today in celebration of Numel Day. So let's just go and watch how well Numel ends up working out. So Dragon Dance is going to lead from this Dragonite. Like, pretty much all it takes is just a little bit of an in, and Numel can run away with it. So while the Dragonite is setting up, Will-O-Wisp comes out, and now the Dragonite is burned. But we get to just watch like what this Dragonite is going to be running. It's going to have the Dragon Claw. It's like not really a lot of Dragonites run Earthquake when you're running it with Dragon Dance and all that. So it's going to go into Stockpile from there. And now Dragonite's really already almost done. And as you can see, even with the Dragon Dance boost, even though its attack was cut in half, it was doing about 75% of its damage. And Numel is still in a really good position for health. That it barely lost a third of its health after all that. And now it's just going to keep getting stockpiles and really just taking almost no damage. So Numel's already at the +4, so its defenses are now tripled with the attack cut on the Dragonite. It doesn't even matter how much Dragon Dance it's going to be throwing out there. Really, it's already over. So Electivire comes out, and Electivire can throw out the Earthquake. Like, it can hit super effective, and really that's going to be the only thing that can threaten Numel, is like a first turn super effective hit. But if you have anything to say about it, you don't stay in on a ground type or water type attack. When you're Numel, you just try to have other things on your team to clear those threats, unless you're already set up. Even right there, at the +3 with no Will-O-Wisp on Electivire, that Earthquake did about 30 damage, which is not a lot, considering that we have over 150 hit points. Not really too much. Now that Electivire's burned, we took almost nothing, and this is where the rest comes in. That when you're taking so little damage, I'm going to wake up from rest with a lot of health back. And really the only thing that Numel worries about is getting crit or getting hit super on that first turn. But after that, if you can get a stockpile off while your opponent's setting up or while your opponent really doesn't have a lot of damage, you're good to go. So now Conkeldurr comes in, and Conkeldurr has the Guts ability. So the burn isn't going to be as effective at reducing its strength. It actually makes it more powerful. But overall, it's just going to be kind of the same thing, that really there's not a lot of options here. Drain Punch does very little, even with all the boosts that Conkeldurr is now getting. And Numel just is asleep and tanks out through it, because that's kind of how this ends up breaking down. So from there, we can just also kind of just watch this battle go up, go and speed it up a bit, because this is kind of where it gets really stally, that it's going to come down to burn damage, and it's going to come down to small amounts of damage from the Flame Charge, and then just resting off anything you take. So Aerodactyl comes in, throws down the Earthquake, starts showing a little bit of damage, but even then, like, there's not much that can happen. Burn comes in, less damage comes in. Rock Slide's going to also crit, but even then, like, the crit will ignore the defense boosts. Now it still applies the burn, but not a lot of damage. That was a 7 damage Rock Slide, now that I'm fully set up against it. And Numel's just going to go and tank out pretty much the rest of the team from here. So, really, the only thing that can be hoped for is a crit at this stage of the game, or else it's over. Even a super effective water type hit, when set up like this, isn't going to do a lot. Now, unfortunately, with the Flame Charge, it probably will knock out Numel to a degree, but overall, this is Numel just kind of going through and ending an entire team just because of the way that it sets up. So, another Flame Charge comes in with the burn damage at the end of the turn. That should be enough to knock out Aerodactyl. And we've already seen a lot of options go down, that a lot of Pokemon are burned, so throughout the Will-O-Wisp. Unfortunately, I believe Heracross had Guts as well. So, Guts charges into the Earthquake, still doesn't do a lot for a super effective Earthquake from the Heracross. So, it's going to have an eject button for some reason. But now when you think about it, Numel has done so much work at this point that it's burned almost every Pokemon on the opponent's team, and it really can just sleep through anything at this point. So just kind of going to watch, Drain Punch not really doing much. It's kind of making it a bit frustrating because it's healing up a bit of the damage from the burn, which is where most of the damage is coming from. But even then, it's still like Conkeldurr, its time is limited. Now, also, Conkeldurr makes the transition to Stone Edge here, trying to go for that crit, but it's a neutral hit. The crit's not going to do a ridiculous amount of damage, because it's just a very strong Pokemon on the Numel. So, Flame Charge is going to keep coming across. With the Flame Charge boost, faster, Numel avoids that last Stone Edge, and then the burn knocks out Conkeldurr. And this is where that timer comes in, that a lot of Pokemon are burned below half. Numel's going to be outspeeding and having some amount of damage against them. Earthquake comes in, barely survives on that, 50 damage on that Earthquake, but the rest comes in, and now the burn is just going to kind of come through and cover up for it. So that was like the most clutch moment of this entire fight. right there. Heracross throws out the close combat, doesn't really do too much. Numel just going to be asleep, and then after this Earthquake, Burn is going to take down Heracross. So there wasn't enough time for Heracross to come through and finish it off. Electivire's back out, most likely Expert Belt, so it's getting the bonus damage on that Earthquake, and still not bringing a lot of pain with that burn on it. Even if without the burn, it still wasn't doing a lot. So now just kind of wake up into rest, stay healthy, let the burn do its job, and this is just going to be Numel walling out everything from this point. It just took that, you know, once you had the Will-O-Wisp in that first stockpile, it was kind of over from there. So that's kind of all that this is going to be, you know. Electivire, another Earthquake, doesn't get a crit. That's really the only thing that could happen right now. Numel's going to wake up, get a Flame Charge in there. Flame Charge does a little bit of damage, and then Burn is going to leave it at probably very little health, just like 1 hit point left, but Flame Charge takes care of that. So see, Numel can fight for itself, and in comes Dragonite. Dragonite's going to be able to resist the Flame Charge, but we still have the burn, so it's going to try to set up Dragon Dances again, try to get on Numel's level. But Numel's just too fast. With the Dragon Dance, it's only boosting by 1 stage, and Numel was already getting double defenses while cutting its attack in half from the Will-O-Wisp. So Dragon Claw comes in, not a lot with all those boosts, and even with the Earthquake, it still wouldn't be doing too much damage. So Dragon Claw gets a nice little hit right there. Flame Charge, going to hit Dragonite, and then the burn at the end of the turn is going to finish it off. And now we're down to the last Pokemon, Magnezone. Magnezone is going to be susceptible to those Flame Charges, so going to get the rest to be safe, just because, like, I don't want to worry about a crit. Like, if it crit at that point, it would have been over, but right now the crit is just going to not really have too much of an impact. So, just going to see a couple turns of Hidden Power, just going to kind of sleep it off, and then just wait until I wake back up. Throughout the Will-O-Wisp, that way I'm going to have sustained damage throughout the turn, and then get into the Flame Charge when I can, and that's just going to be a couple super effective hits. And that's going to be Numel going 6-0 against some strong Pokemon. Like Dragonite, Conkeldurr, Heracross, fairly common, especially on the Magnezone. But overall, once you just get that setup, it's over. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just how Numel sweeps. It can endure like a boss, and that's why its stockpile is OP. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day.